I'm Abby. Welcome to Cornerstone. We're really glad you're here. Whether you are with us online or at a Cornerstone campus, would you do me a favor? Go to cornerstonemi.org/check-in to check in. We love seeing where you are checking in from, but it's lots more than that. You can let us know if you would like prayer, have questions, or maybe there's a need that we could help you with. Checking in is just one way we can stay connected. A cool thing about checking in is that every weekend you do, we'll make a cash donation to one of our mission partners. Another cool thing, if this is the first time you're checking in, we'd like to give you a gift. We can send it to your place if you're joining us online. If you're out of campus, just stop at the guest services desk before you leave. Coming up next, our worship team will be leading us in some singing. If you are with us at one of our campuses, please keep your masks on while you are singing. And once you're done, you can take them off. Thanks.
Well, good evening and welcome to Cornerstone Church. My name is Rachel, and it is so good to be together tonight, however you may be joining us. If you're at home watching or you're here with us in person, hey, if you're here and you're able, would you stand with us as we sing and worship together tonight? Put your hands together with us. Here we go.
Shake at the sound of Jesus' name. Lives made whole, hearts awake at the sound of Jesus' name. Come on, sing it out. And chains will fall, prison shake at the sound of Jesus' name. And lives made whole, hearts awake at the sound of Jesus' name. Sing
this invitation tonight.
Come out of the dark, just as you are, into the fullness of His love. For the Spirit is here, let there be freedom. Let there be freedom. Amen.
When darkness tries to roll over my bones, when sorrow comes to steal the joy I own, when bitterness and pain is all I know, I won't be shaken, I won't be shaken, 'cause my fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. Standing in the love of God. Oh, come on. Shame no longer has a place to hide. I am not, and I am not a captive to the light. I'm not afraid to leave my past behind. I won't be shaken. Come on. I won't be shaken. No, my fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. We're gonna sing about the power of our God. There's power that can break off every chain. Come on. There's power that can empty out a grave. There's resurrection power that can save. There's power in your name. Power in your name. There's power that can break off every chain. There's power that can empty out a grave. There's resurrection power that can save. There's power in your name. Power in your name. You see my fear. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear does not stand a chance when I stand in your love. Standing in your love. We're standing on the rock. Oh, we're standing in your love.
Let's give God thanks for His love today. Would you pray with me? God, we are so, so grateful tonight for your love that is for us and for all people, for your love for the world. And we're thankful for the promise that nothing will ever separate us from your great love. And so, God, in these moments we have together here and now, would you lead us? Lead us in your love. Would we know more of your love for us? And would that change the way we live, the way that we love ourselves, our family, one another, the way, even, God, that we love our enemies? We want to be changed by you. We want to be led by you. And so that's our prayer tonight. We love you. And again, we're so grateful for your steadfast love you have for each of us. And we pray this all in Christ's name. Amen. You can be seated.
Next weekend is going to be a pretty big one at Cornerstone. Next Saturday and Sunday is Pastor Brad's farewell weekend. There's a Saturday service at 6 p.m. on 84th Street, and Sunday services will be at their usual times at all campuses. If you're at Heritage Hill or South Wyoming, the message will be streamed to your campus. No matter which campus you attend, please be sure to stop by 84th Street anytime between noon and 2:30 for the Farewell Celebration Open House for Pastor Brad and Colleen. And by the way, if you'd like to leave Pastor Brad and Colleen a short video message, you can do that today at any campus. Just go to the prayer room or write Brad and Colleen an email message. Just go to cornerstonemi.org/transition and look for the send an email link. Be sure to stay in touch. Check out our website, the app, and our Facebook and Instagram pages. Have a great week.
I'm not sure I've had applause since you left. Anyway, it's so great to welcome all of you. Welcome those of you who are in person. There's so many of you here tonight and today. And welcome to our Heritage Hill campus, and welcome to South Wyoming. And all of you who are watching online, we're so grateful you joined us for this really passing of the baton kind of service that we get a chance to do together. It's so good to have Ken Nash and his family back in Grand Rapids. And for those of you that do not know Ken, you'll have a chance to begin to get to know him through this worship experience and then in the days to come. Ken, I was thinking about, we were going to share some thoughts today around the idea of teamwork, but when we talk about passing the baton, were you in track?
I was.
And I'm trying to my memory now. You went to a state. Some state competitions.
Yeah,
right?
And the only reason we made it to state is one of the teams next to us, while the guy was running so hard, the baton literally hit his leg and bounced out, and that's why we made it to state.
Oh.
So he literally dropped the baton. So thanks for bringing that up.
So let's not do that. Anyway,
let's not do that.
I was remembering back when my brother was in high school. He was in track, and one time it was the next event, and the guy at the intercom literally said for the whole stadium, "Will Larry Kalinsky please report to the whatever the event was?" And I thought, that is the worst pronunciation of my name ever. But gratefully, Cornerstone will have an easy name to pronounce.
That's right. Can you get Nash correct?
Nash,
That's
right.
not a little easier. That's good.
You know, over these last 5 weeks, and I know you've been watching online, we have been sharing some like big chunks of DNA that have been part of Cornerstone, and you were a big part of that as well. But tonight we thought we'd like to focus again on teamwork and collaboration and the way that you and I worked together for 10 full years here. So it was about 20 years ago when I first got to know you.
That's right.
Here at Cornerstone, we were doing some teaching conferences for other churches at that time. And I remember you were serving in Carson City, Michigan.
That's right.
I wasn't sure where that was, but
Neither
you
did
told
I.
me it was a real place.
Right. I thought I was in Nevada for 6 years.
It's Nevada, yeah, it could have been Nevada. But you came, you brought some people with you from Carson Church, and you came to our teaching conferences. So over like 4 or 5 years, we got to know each other. And finally, I remember at some point, we just said, we've got to work together.
Yeah, that was great. Best decision I ever made to join forces with you.
And we have different personalities, and that turned out to be a compliment, I think, for the church and for us working together. We were guided by the immortal words of Buzz Lightyear. To build a strong team, you must see someone else's strength as a complement to your weakness, not as a threat to your position or authority. I think that's a pretty strong advice from good old Buzz.
Yeah.
You know, it took some doing, I remember, but we finally convinced our bishop, because we're a Methodist church, we had to get the bishop's approval to appoint you to come here. And when that happened, I mean, for 10 years, between 2006 and 2016,
That's right.
we had a lot of fun times together.
Definitely.
To be honest and to be real and authentic, we had some conflicts, you know, and I think Christians need to work through their conflicts.
And it's so much sweeter on the other side.
It really is.
Yeah.
And but we had Beth Ann Fernandez, our director of kids ministry, and she was always asking us to do nutty things. You remember that?
To work out our differences. That's
Yeah.
right.
She wanted to raise money once for the Children of the Dump Mission Project, and so if the kids raised so much at Mega Kids Camp, we said they could cut all of our hair off. You remember that?
I do.
Yeah, we have a
Yeah,
picture
yeah.
of that. Let's take a look at that picture.
Yeah. The guy in the front, though, really needed it.
And Pam, the barber there, was just enjoying it too much. I remember that. Yeah.
Totally. And but do you remember on this stage then sumo wrestling, where we had to go after each other with sumo wrestling?
Sumo wrestling. I think I won. Yeah, that really wasn't a costume. What were
We
you
had to do a
wearing there,
relay
Ken?
race, and you cheated. I'm positive. I remember you kept pushing me down, and I couldn't get out of the big fat suit. Too fun.
Well, for people that do not know you or people that have been away, you know, maybe can't remember, let's just take a minute to reacquaint us with your family.
That's
Tell
great.
us about that.
Yeah. It's surreal to be here tonight. When we were called to Buffalo, I really intended that was probably where I'd retire from. And so to be here tonight is really a remarkable gift from the Lord, and I don't take that lightly at all. And my family feels the same way. If you remember 5 years ago, you would not even recognize my kids anymore. I think there'll be a picture up there. They've sprouted, and it's been quite a wild ride for all of us. My daughter, Taylor, she's 21, almost to be 22. She's studying for dietetics. She's staying in Buffalo to get her master's degree in dietetics. I'm glad she's staying there because she always judges me on what I eat. But in all seriousness, I really hope when she graduates, will come back here. But we're just trusting the Lord in that for sure. The biggest change is with my older boys. Silas, he's 18. He just actually graduated a while ago and got some welding certificates recently, and probably is going after his journeyman's license and really wants to get into the trades, and he seems to really have a knack for that. Elijah, he's 15, going to start driver's training in June here, and so this is just mind-blowing for me. And he is... He's so unbelievably good on the computer. I mean, and I had a head start. I had the Commodore 64 way back in the day, and he's way beyond me in that. And so he's just got a very fast mind and a very quick wit, and so you'll enjoy getting to know him. Our youngest, who many of you, when we were here 5 years ago, he was just born when we moved away. His name is Mason. He was born with Down syndrome and truly changed our world for the better. Has given us a perspective on life, perspective on humanity like nobody ever has, and he's truly enriched our lives. And you're going to love getting to know him and see him in all of his personality and splendor. And so thank you again for those prayers and support through all of that and the early days. And so now we hopefully get to enjoy those sweet rewards together of growing together with him. So it's just awesome to be back here as a family.
You know, my wife Colleen and your wife Christine were also friends and still are.
Of course.
And so it's been a great friendship.
Yeah.
You left here to go pastor a large church in Buffalo, New York. Just tell us a little bit about that experience.
Yeah, so Buffalo, I knew I would be able to move into that ministry quite easily because it's very similar to Cornerstone. And they had at the time 3 campuses, just like we have here, but they had an entirely different way of doing multi-site. The lead pastor there, who actually retired after 38 years of ministry. So you just play that out and just realize how God was using that story to teach me and train me for this moment. And so it just really an amazing journey. But his way of doing multi-site was dramatically different than what we've set up here, where he would, it'd be like this. I preach here at 84th Street on Sunday morning, run over to Heritage Hill, preach, run over to South Wyoming, preach, and then run back here. So you never get to worship and song. You literally run in and preach, you leave. You run in, you never connect with people. And so 5 weeks of that, I thought, and in fact, I looked in there in my office, I had this WWBD sign. What would Brad do? and I thought, there's no way I'm going to keep this up. And so I wanted to do life and with people. And so I started to do what you did in me. And I'm changed because of you. You poured into me. And right from the beginning, we started tag teaming preaching. And that was unheard of in 2006 for sure. And so you'd preach a point, I'd preach a point. And so I went back to that where I started saying, well, who are the people that I could find that as Brad poured into me, I can pour into them? And so now they have a team of 9 people who are preaching, and they're rotating, and they're flourishing. And it's teamwork. And so I was able to take what we learned here and discovered together there. And so I'm just really grateful.
You know, I remember when you first went there, you shared with me that Buffalo was like the 10th most post-Christian city in the country.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, you know, I know you had a great ministry there. I know the church really flourished in those 5 years you were there. Why wouldn't the Lord just say, stay in Buffalo, Ken, instead of coming back to Grand Rapids?
We did ask those questions in the beginning, and really there are really 2 real obvious ones. One, God needed me there to help them work out a multi-site system. So we went through a full transformation and changed the ministry to a way where they could actually have a functioning multi-site ministry. So God used some of the research that you allowed me to go and study and learn all of that and what we did here and implement that there. But the other reason is really very personal. It was fascinating when we got to about year and a half, maybe 2 years in. I had a real prompting to do a real informal moment, an impromptu baptism service. And we had a lot of people that started coming to the church, and they were new to the faith, and a lot of people had given their life to Christ. And so I thought, let's just do an impromptu baptism service. So we put up 2 tanks on the front, and I just said, if you'd like to be baptized today, at the end of the message, and just come as you are, in your Sunday clothes, Saturday clothes, just show up and come up. And so we, by faith, thought it was a big step of faith. We had a whole bunch of clothes in the back and stuff for people to change into afterward and stuff. And we were hoping 50 people would come up. And we had 149 people get baptized in one weekend. And yeah, truly, an amazing moment. And so I said, if you've never been baptized and you want to make a public profession of your faith, it was one of the highlights of ministry. But here's where it got personal. I remember thinking that night over that weekend, reflecting, I wanted to jump right back here at 84th Street or at Heritage Hill or South Wyoming. I wanted to hang out with all of you and celebrate that moment with you as well, because you had poured into me, and I wanted to celebrate. So it's like God was preparing my heart, and I didn't even understand it at the time because I was preparing for long-term ministry there. But God was reminding me, this is home. And as Mason started growing, we started realizing he's nonverbal, and he has lots of needs. Special needs are really special for a reason. They're complicated. And the pandemic has helped us to realize, to ask the question, who are your people? I mean, life is so short. Who do you want to do life with? And when God opened this door, the answer is you. You're our home, your family. And as much as Buffalo had poured into me and that ministry changed my life and I was able to pour into them, you're home. And so when the opportunity came, I couldn't get more excited that the Lord opened this door for us to be back here. And there's really a third reason. This is kind of funny. Sean McDermott, the head coach of the Buffalo Bills, attends the church there, and many of the players came, and we did some baptisms and stuff. And And so I put a direct correlation, and my preaching got a little bit better while I was there, and so I put a direct correlation. They made it to almost to the Super Bowl last year. So I'm here to help the Lions, too. So. All in fun. Anyway.
I think one of the things that people who were at Cornerstone, I understand not everybody was, but for those that were here during the years we served together, I think one of the things they liked and there was a good feeling about was that we did work as a team and we had a lot of collaboration.
Yeah.
And I think back over those years, you and I we can motivate, we can inspire, but honestly, it's really the people who carry the weight of ministry at this church anyway. Yeah. And we've watched the collaboration, not of us, but of hundreds of people to really push this ministry forward over the last many years. So I just want to think about for a few minutes, like the key components of teamwork and collaboration. What's the DNA in that, and what does it take for this church in the future?
For sure. It really builds off a verse that you and I have talked about so many times, 2 Timothy 2:2, where Paul pours into Timothy. I feel that in our relationship. And listen to this. There's really 5 generations of connections here. Timothy, what you have heard from me through many witnesses, entrust to faithful people who will be able to teach others as well. So Paul into Timothy, who teaches others, who teach others, who can teach the world. And I believe that's what's happening here. And so it really builds to this, it's what you talked about three weeks ago. Empower others to lead. We need each other more than ever. The world is longing. People are clearly open to spirituality now. You see that all over the world now, which has been fantastic. A crisis does that, and we're grateful for that. But here's the deal. If we don't capitalize on this moment and truly empower one another and to equip for ministry, we're going to miss this moment, and it's going to set us back dramatically. And so I want to challenge each of you to realize that somebody's looking at you. Because the one thing I've noticed is we can get passive in ministry and just say, well, I'm not on stage, I don't have that gift, I'm not really good with kids, or I'm not good in hospitality, I don't even like people, and but you love Jesus. And here's the deal. If you're here today for worship at one of our campuses watching online, maybe your grandson is watching you and paying attention to, wait, why are you spending time with those religious people? You're leading somebody. And so God's going to open the doors for you to be able to share your faith with that person. And when their eyes are opened, they may be the person that is your Timothy who you train up for ministry, because that's how the church has been able to withstand so many crises and struggles and failures throughout history, because it's living out the principles of what Jesus did. He just poured into his disciples, and then Paul does the same to Timothy, and really this has been a principle. And as I think about it scripturally throughout history, it goes back to Exodus. You think about Moses. He had this same mentality. He was overwhelmed with all these people. And I think of what you've done here at Cornerstone for 30 years. Really, the principles of what Jethro, his father-in-law, taught Moses. Listen to this, for example, as another example in Exodus 18. Tell me this doesn't describe how Cornerstone has been able to flourish for all of these years. Select from all the people some capable, honest leaders who fear God and hate bribes. Appoint them over groups of 1,000, 100, 50, 10. They should always be available to solve people's common disputes, but have them bring the major cases to you, to the core leadership. Let the leaders decide the smaller matters themselves. In other words, you've empowered them. You've trained them up. They will help you carry the load, making the task easier for you. If you follow this advice, and if God commands you to do so, then you will be able to endure the pressures. We have a lot of pressures. And all these people will go to home in great peace. And so I love the idea of, as you've been looking at the past and reflecting and dreaming about what the future can be, we're going to carry that on, brother. We're going to carry it on. We've been so blessed by your years of faithfulness of saying, I trust you to lead. I want you guys to be who Christ invited you to fully be as you gave him your life. And as we live this out, I'm just grateful that we can carry this into the future. And I'm convinced that is one of the great things God is going to use to help us to multiply and reach people to the ends of the earth.
Yeah.
Truly.
You know, one of the people that have just manifested that here is Nancy Beckham, and I know you know Dennis and Nancy. I think Dennis was on a video for us last week. Nancy has been serving and empowering other people for so many years. Let's listen to her testimony.
Hi, I'm Nancy Beckham. I am a clinical nurse specialist during the day, and I have worked in student ministry for over 15 years here at Cornerstone. My husband and I have been coming to Cornerstone for 30 years this month, actually. You know, one of the things that we've appreciated so much about Cornerstone is what Cornerstone has done for our kids. We have 2 adult boys who grew up in Cornerstone, and all the way from children's through student ministry has just made them who they are. They would be different people if it wasn't for Cornerstone. And we just appreciate so much the people that have poured into them. In fact, when our kids were in middle school, we had missed 2 Sundays, vacation or something. And on Saturday, one of the kids came to us and they, hands on the hips, said, "Are we ever going back to church?" So for 2 middle school boys to be that interested in being at church tells you a lot about what the program was like. Because of what Cornerstone did for our kids, I wanted to give back. For all of the people who had poured into them, I wanted to be able to pour into other kids. So I started in middle school ministry, did 3 years, and then was able to graduate up into high school ministry. High school ministry is amazing, and have seen God working through that ministry so many times. Just seeing the kids as they are as freshmen and what they're like when they graduate is God. God fills them and develops them, and it's really amazing. I remember one year when we took our kids to Mexico. They were juniors, and we went to Mexicali at that time. So middle of nowhere, 2 hours or 2.5 hours from the United States. Just really kind of a desolate, poor area. And we got out to the work site, and one of the girls was like, "Something's wrong." Turns out she had a bladder infection, and she was miserable. We prayed over her, and in an incredibly short period of time, car pulls up, this man gets out. He was there to interpret for us. Turns out he was a doctor from the United States, and he says, "Oh, you can get antibiotics from the drugstore. I'll go get some and bring them back to you." He came back, and she was fine and able to effectively complete the trip. So truly amazing, God's timing in that. And that was also a memory that she had and frequently talked about as how God took care of her in that really difficult situation. So here's what I want to say to you. You might want to think about joining student ministry. You can do it at any campus. It is a great opportunity to serve the Lord. It's an amazing opportunity to pour into kids, to help them develop their faith, to help them develop their relationship with Jesus. And you might want to try it because it is just a really good way to serve.
You know what I like about that is that it's not about me pouring into you or you pouring into these other pastors. It's really about all of our staff, all of our people who just are part of Cornerstone. I love that question, asking who's looking at me?
I know.
Somebody's looking at you, and there's somebody to pour into. So it's about empowering other people. We were on a Zoom call with several families just last week, and one of the moms spoke up. She said, we have an 8th grade boy, and he can't wait to see Barry in church. He yells at him from across the hub. Barry's in his mid-70s, and he's in middle school. He's one of the great middle school workers we have here. I think it's awesome. There's no age limit on that, you know. The other thing that comes to my mind when I think about DNA, and that takes a lot of collaboration, that I've watched in this church through the generations, from our most seasoned citizens to our youngest, and I've watched this happen over and over and over the years, and that is just to encourage the next generation. I think it's been so important, part of our ministry. You know, how many people have we witnessed come to this church who said, I came there because there was something for every person in my family, or there was a ministry that touched every single one of us. And I remember our launch team back in 1990 when we were meeting in the basement. One of the things they set as a goal for this church was to invest in tomorrow's leaders.
Wow.
I mean, and I think that's something this Cornerstone has done, and I know we'll do in the future. And it means some of us sacrifice some of the things we like because we're investing in the next generation, right? And so it's powerful. You know, one of the verses that came to me a few years into Cornerstone was a verse that comes out of the book of Psalms. It's Psalm 71:18. And now, mind you, this verse came to me when I had thick, wavy hair and an awesome mullet.
I remember the mullet.
The mullet.
I didn't call it awesome.
It was
anyway.
awesome. It was awesome. Yeah, I don't remember you with a mullet, but I remember I had one, and it was wavy. But this verse came to me out of Psalm 71. Let me read it for you. It says, even when I'm old and gray, do not forsake me, O God, till I declare your power to the next generation and your mighty acts to all who are to come. And that's been, I think, one of the things that we've tried to do over the years. As I think about Paul and Timothy that you just referenced, Paul saw something in Timothy, right? If you read the New Testament, Timothy was this like high school kid that didn't have like a lot of skills developed or anything, but Paul saw potential in him. And I think it's to look around and to see the people around you, the people in your life group, the people that you befriended, and just say, what does God see in you? I think that's really the question, isn't it? And sometimes it's looking at people that are just young, and they're not fully developed yet, and all that stuff. Paul actually wrote to Timothy, and he says this, recalling your tears, I just long to see you, so that I may be filled with joy. I'm reminded of your sincere faith, that which first lived in your grandmother Lois and then in your mother Eunice, and I'm persuaded now lives in you also. So Paul recognizes that Timothy didn't do it alone either. I mean, he had a family supporting him and a network, and I just think don't underestimate the power of generational blessings. You know, sometimes we can get so caught up in what we're doing and everything else and I think families are under so much pressure these days. We have pressure from activities. There is stuff pulling us away almost every weekend, and church can be like third or fourth on the list of if we're free, we'll go. But I just think the power of a family that says, no, God's first, and we're gonna be a part of the church no matter what, you know. And I hope the Cornerstone will always continue that, because I think that's where we've been. And, you know, Ken, I don't think you were here quite yet when we added the first editions.
Right, just after.
At 68th Street, yeah. We added a big youth space first. We called it Base Camp as well. And then we added a kid space. And then finally, we moved to this space. And you were very much a part of that. And we kind of helped get through this together. And then after you left, it seems like we did more building. So you haven't been around, Ken, for really a lot of the building. I'm kidding about that. But we added the big space onto Heritage Hill and South Wyoming and Heritage Hill campuses.
Which are fantastic, by the way.
And most of that is dedicated to kids and youth. And as I think about now, as we turn our attention to 84th Street, and we are going to add some space for some digital ministry, because I think we know that going forward, COVID has showed us that our ministry is going to be live and in person. Our ministry is going to be online. It's going to be both, 100% both. And so we have to have some different kind of space for that. And so that's part of our plan this year, actually, for 84th Street. But then our building team has been talking about in 2022 of adding a larger multi-purpose space for students and kids, and adults will benefit from it as well. And you'll be leading through that. And so that'll be in the days to come. But it's all part of empowering the next generation. I think it's just an awesome thing. You know, there's a kid that, he's not a kid anymore, but he grew up here, and he came to Cornerstone when he was in 11th grade. His name's Brad Blazer, and now he's an adult, and he recently sat down with me and shared this with us.
Part of Cornerstone's vision has always been students and young people. I can remember 30 years ago when I was a freshman in high school, coming to Cornerstone for the first time, walking through those South Christian auditorium doors. And I can also remember at one of those services being notified about a youth group that was happening on Sunday nights. And I thought in high school, hey, it's pretty cool. I got nothing going on Sunday nights, so let's check it out. And I can remember tight rolling my jeans and heading over to Pastor Brad Calajanen's house and having our youth group time in his basement. And I can remember just the relationships that were formed and the times that we had, talking about God, and how I really began to have a firm foundation from those moments. And flash ahead 30 years, and now my beautiful girls get to have those same foundations in different ways. And that's still a vision and still so important to the DNA of Cornerstone. And one of those experiences, and there are many programs for kids, and one of those programs is 45s. And 45s is actually a program catered to 4th and 5th graders, and both of my daughters are currently in that. But Madison, can you share a little bit about 45s and why that's important to you?
Well, we get to share time with leaders and hang out with friends, and then we get to do other things that are really fun, like games.
In addition to 45s, we have another fun thing that students get to do during the summers. It's called Mega Kids Camp. And Sophie, can you tell a little bit about Mega Kids Camp?
Yeah, so for Mega, what we do that's really fun is that we did last year or 2 years ago. We did this thing where me and my leaders and some of my friends, we did this prayer circle, and it was really fun, and we got to experience a God moment.
Okay, awesome, Sophie. So that foundation had been laid from that freshman year of high school, and that's followed me all the way to this point. And now I get a chance to be involved in kids ministry, whether it be 45s. I even had a chance to do some high school ministry. I see how important it is and how vital it is to keep your kids involved. And a lot of times at Cornerstone, these students, they just want to be involved. They want to be a part of things, and Cornerstone affords them that ability to do that. What's exciting to me is that when these guys grow up, they might be serving in kids ministry in some way. So Madison, where would you want to serve?
I would want to serve at 45s.
And Sophie, where would you want to serve?
I want to be a Mega Camp rock star.
Of course. All right, so.
Encouraging the next generation. Yeah, that was fun. I think one of the last pieces of just, not the last, but one of the third piece of DNA, but it's the last for us, is just to think about, because I think I've seen this among all the people of Cornerstone at all the campuses, and I've witnessed this, the way they reach out to folks, sometimes they don't even know, that show up on weekend services or in other places, and that is just to enlarge the tent. enlarge the tent. We always have to be thinking about that. A few weeks ago, we did a service about expecting growth, and I think I'm not talking about just expecting growth, but also enlarging the tent to include people, all kinds of people that are like us, people that are different from us. You know, I think it's so important as we go forward. You know, back in 2009, when we were about to relocate onto this campus at 84th Street, God gave a verse to a woman in our church during her devotions, Joyce Van Ord. And the verse came from Isaiah 54:2. It says, "Enlarge the place of your tent. Stretch your tent curtains wide. Do not hold back. Lengthen your cords and strengthen your stakes."
Yeah,
Isn't that a great verse?
it's beautiful.
And I think we've been trying to enlarge the tent in different ways ever since. And again, as a founding pastor, I think it's really great right now to be able to say some of our best days are ahead. I know that's something that politicians say a lot, but I really believe it. I think God's got some great things in store for this church.
Thank you. As you think about the enlarging the tent, you were telling me, as we've been having lots of conversations about the 84th Street here, the south side over there, that farm area and the development that's coming. There's like people galore. We're right in the center of activity at 84th, and Heritage Hill is positioned perfectly. South Wyoming positioned beautifully, and just got such a wonderful outreach. 84th Street has always felt like we've been on the fringes, and now that there's all these new pieces of property. And I remember we were putting on a conference here with all these pastors many years ago when we first moved into this property, and the farmer over here was laying down some fertilizer that was like turkey droppings, and it was the worst smell I've ever smelled in my life. This was where it's embarrassing. The wind was blowing out of the south, and it was coming right at us. And so we have all these pastors from around the country, and they were here and filled this place with the worst smell ever.
Yeah, welcome.
Welcome, everybody.
Here.
Welcome.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking, this is such a mess, and I was so grumpy. And then God gave me a prompting, pray for that property, and that there will be people there. And now it's happening. So we've been praying for that piece of property all these years.
You know, as we think about this 84th Street campus, one of the things, as I mentioned, the building team has been envisioning is a new space, multi-purpose space, because we can see it coming.
Yeah.
Across the street, there is a multi-unit housing that's going to be coming in within the next few years.
Yeah.
Up on 76th Street, there's another large development about to occur, and we've been reading about it in the papers and the websites and stuff. So I think those things are happening, and what I've loved about being here at Cornerstone is we try to get out ahead and try to envision the future before it actually happens, and so we're ready to meet the need. And you know, there have been so many faithful people. You were watching last week online, we got to burn the mortgage for this place, and it was an awesome moment. But as we prepare for the next generation, there will be other building pieces. You know, I know that will happen, but I really trust this church because they are so faithful and they have such great vision. So it's going to be awesome. You know, Ken, you have been a great leader in so many different ways, and you have been. You have been a man after God's heart, and you have gifts, and you have graces to lead this church. And as you go forward, I would say depend heavily on those around you. Pastors Marcus and Alex they've been running hard, and they're good men.
They are.
Good men. And you can depend on them.
Yeah.
We have one of the best staff here. We have some of the best people ever.
I know.
And you can rely on them. And then the people that attend Cornerstone are a real treasure.
I know.
I didn't expect to get like this, but I can't help it.
You're messing with me, man.
Don't come back next week.
I'm not coming back next week.
But you know, the pastors and the staff here, their vision is clear and their hearts are good. And so I want to pass on the baton to you, only I do not have a baton.
Yeah.
what I have is a rungu. It's from northern Kenya. And when I was there, a pastor there said, you are the leader of this church, and you need to have a rungu. All leaders carry one of these. They're not for bopping people on the head. They are a symbol of God's leadership and of just leading people. And you have to carry them with a lot of humility. And but they also have there's an authority to it. And so I want to pass this on to you. And I asked him for permission, which is really pretty cool through social media that we can talk to each other in northern Kenya. And you have been there.
I have.
To the city of C.O.R.N.E.R.S.T.O.N.E.
I have, absolutely.
And, David said, yes, please pass that on to Ken. But then he also said, but you need another one, so I'm going to send you one.
Because the authority does
You
stay
can't
with
be without your rungu.
Yeah.
So, God bless you, brother.
Thank you. I don't take this lightly by any means. Before I share just a word with you, Brad, Brad and I were sitting down here with our team. We always meet to pray ahead of time and talk through the plans for the services. And it was interesting having people come up and talk to us. And it was awkward because they would, be really happy, but then Brad was right there, and they're like, "But I'm sad." And so then they feel like they've offended both of us.
Yeah. It's really funny. People aren't sure what to say and how to put those two thoughts together. And that's
Right.
pretty common. So we just want to say it out loud. It's okay. You can be happy for me. You can be happy for Ken. Sad for me. Probably not sad at Ken. But
I hope not. I hope.
But you can express all those emotions. And we're not threatened with each
Not
other.
at all.
Not at all.
I
And
feel
so-
I feel terrible sadness. I'm going to miss him terribly.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful for you.
I hope that you'll invite me back once in a while. not to lead, but to connect and to be a part of things.
Without
Sure.
question.
Okay.
I've got many pictures and stories that still have to be told. So publicly, it's so fun. But one thing that, as you just mentioned, the generational thinking and how you've poured into me all of these, really 20 years. One thing I've learned about you is a phrase that I've been using recently in leadership with my core team and staff is, I want my ceiling to be the next generation's floor. And one thing I've learned from you is that you have been heartfelt and passionate about the message of Jesus Christ never changing. He is truly the hope of the world. He's the only answer for the struggle that this world is forever facing. You have, though, taught me that the method needs to continue to change. And over the last 5 weeks, I've been jealous because I've been hearing these stories from the launch team from 1990 over and over again. You know, the Turners, and be able to hear from the Walworths, and visit today with Nancy and Brad Blazer and the Sangsters. And I've been a little bit jealous because I wish I could have been a part of your launch team in the beginning, and I wasn't. But I was a part of the launch team with Heritage Hill and with South Wyoming. And I love what Alex is doing, and great friends with him and with Marcus. And so we have some beautiful collaboration and teamwork already, thanks to you allowing us to be able to do what we've been able to do. But as I think about what we've been through in the pandemic, we actually have the perfect moment in time that we've been given. We get to, in many ways, replant Cornerstone. Think about that. We all get to be a part of the launch team and what God's going to do next post-pandemic. So I'm asking you to join me in building off from the foundation of what this incredible man has poured into with blood, sweat, and tears through the years. and to be able to build on that incredible ceiling that He has set before us. And the methods are going to change. We're going to have to be hybrid. We're going to have to be online and in person for a while, and probably forever in some ways, because the world has changed before us. So we get a chance to do church and ministry and life in ways that Cornerstone has maybe never known before. But the message is going to stay true. So thanks for staying faithful to the gospel of Jesus Christ. And Brett, I'm not going to be here next week because, one, I can't take it emotionally. But I want you to truly be celebrated and don't want to get in the way of any of that. And so I want to take a moment publicly to say thank you. You've changed my life, man.
Yeah.
You've changed my life. And I'll never be the same again, thanks to you.
Thanks, Ken.
So I am going to be visiting South Wyoming and Heritage Hill in June, and just to get a chance to connect. And then I'm going to start preaching in July. July 11th is my first official Sunday publicly, but I'll be doing a lot of behind-the-scenes work and connecting with leaders and between now and then. And so I'm asking you to join me in what God's going to do in and through us, because I believe the world needs us now more than ever, because they're crying out for many of them, the Savior they've not met yet. And so will you join me in being a Paul to the next Timothys that we get a chance to meet as we get to build from where we've come in all these 30 years. Thank you. And I'd love to pray over each one of us right now. Lord, this day is phenomenal spiritually, and I don't take it lightly. The mantle is heavy, but truly the burden, because my eyes are on you, it's light. The burden is light because I feel your presence going before us. For you are the King of all kings, and you are the Lord over every lord that this earth tries to lift up. And you are the majestic one. And so we bow before you now, and we surrender yet again today, acknowledging that you are the chief cornerstone over each one of our lives. And I thank you, Lord, for bringing us together at this time in history to do life together and to, more importantly, do ministry together for your name's sake, the name that is above all names, Jesus Christ, that we have a chance to share you with the world and bring hope to the desperate, and to bring light to those in darkness, and to bring a sense of healing to those who are so broken and hurt. So I thank you for the foundation that has been laid here at Cornerstone as you've used this incredible man of God. And I lift Brad and Colleen up to you now, and I just pray over the next 7 days and over the next really 7 years as they reflect on everything, that you will bless them abundantly, and that you will just continue to launch them into their next season of ministry with great joy. And in many ways, as he said for us here at Cornerstone, the best days are ahead. I pray in many ways the best days are yet ahead for them and the ministry you're going to give them. And so I lift all of us up now in the mighty and powerful name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen. Let's stand together. Heritage Hill, South Wyoming, if you'll stand with us as well, and we'll close in this moment of song and worship of the Lord.
You're worthy. Trust in you.
We have offering boxes in the back. If you brought an offering for the Lord today, drop it in one of those boxes or out in the hub. We dismiss from the back rows first so we can exit that way. Ken and I will actually both be out in the hub. We'll be hanging around as long as there's anyone here to talk to. And we're glad that you came tonight. And now, dear Cornerstone, spread across 3 campuses, may the Lord bless you, may the Lord keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you, and may the Lord turn his face in your direction toward you and give you peace. See you next weekend. God bless you.